Welcome in your top Thursday night same game parlay here on the Odd Shopper channel. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's make some money. And like last week, we're bringing in some help. You may know him as DFS and Donuts. I know him as Mitch. Here he is as we build this three-leg smash. As promised, here is Mitch at DFS and Donuts. You can follow him on Twitter. We're going to pump up this tails page as much as humanly possible because Mitch is absolutely crushing it across the board. My man, it is a pleasure just to be on here with you. Thank you for being a part of this same game parlay video and bringing, I think you've hit like every single anytime touchdown in 2 weeks. Like everyone out there that has scored, you have hit, Mitch.
It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me here today. This is one of those moments that I've been wanting to be a part of for years. I'm here. I'm representing the team. Let's make some money.
Love it, man. So at DFS and Donuts, the Tails Marketplace as well. Anywhere else that are you doing any live appearances? Are you doing any type of open bars? Are you like celebrity chefing somewhere up in the Northeast that we should know about?
Yeah, listen, I wish I had more skill sets than I appear to have. This is it, my man. You can find me on Twitter, find me on YouTube, and man, my skill set kind of ends there.
I have no skills either, brother.
Well, listen, what we do have is the ability to line people's pockets, and I feel like we're about to do that. So let's do it.
Since we're building a three-leg parlay, we don't need to get crazy right away. While I do think that 70.5 is fine here if you were going to play that solo, maybe even look to build a mini ladder for Ramondre, who's going to get a ton of carries against this soft Jets rush defense that we've seen 2 weeks in a row just be lackadaisical, barely there at best, just gashed at worst. I'll get it with 55.5. We'll see where we are after 3. All right. If it's a number that's too low for Mitch, I'm willing to come back and adjust here. But at 56 yards for Stevenson, who should get in the 20s as far as carries, Mitch, it's hard for me to think he doesn't hit at least mid 50s on the ground.
I love that. It gives us a nice little floor, and the 16.5 is a great play. I'm all over that too.
All right. So for you, my friend, where would you pivot?
All right. So first play for me is going to be Breece Hall. I absolutely love the way that he is being used through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. He's really allowed Aaron Rodgers to kind of work his way back into game speed. And you're seeing a little bit of the issues there with the pressure, a lot of the check down from Aaron Rodgers right now. And we've seen Breece Hall go out there and get 8 and 7 targets through 2 weeks that has amounted to 12 receptions and 39 plus receiving yards through both games. Now, you might have thought the first game was script dependent when we saw Breece Hall go out there against the Niners and getting blown out in the first half. The second game against the Titans, they won by 7, and he still had 39 yards receiving, seven targets and 5 more receptions. And I was watching that game because I was sweating out the over 27.5 receiving yards. He also had another one of those kind of lateral looking passes that they turned on the stat board to an 11 or 12 yard rush, which really did truly look like it was a pass. It was a check down play. He just happened to throw it backwards. So I think there's plenty of upside here, and very similar to Ramondre Stevenson. I think this could be a spot where you could ladder it. If you wanted to ladder the yards for receiving, that's great. But for the confines of what we're building here, I think that sticking with the over 31.5 receiving yards is the lock and load play for me.
All right, so we'll build this here out over 55.5 alt rushing yards, over 31.5 receiving yards, just to show you what this looks like now built in there. Where are you as far as like a prop that you were just close to, but you thought, you know what, let me go Breece Hall receiving yards instead?
Well, you let off the show talking about the anytime touchdowns. Oh, my gosh. I almost went Breece Hall anytime touchdown. I also almost went Ramondre Stevenson anytime touchdown. There's a big boost for Ramondre in this game because C.J. Mosley potentially is going to be missing the elite run stopper in the middle of the Jets defense. They gave up 28 carries, 4.7 yards per carry in week 2 against the Titans and got gashed. We all watched Jordan Mason burst onto the scene in week 1. So I think there's a ton of upside for an anytime touchdown for either player. But for this parlay, I like the idea of just putting in Breece Hall, the home team, their favorites, and he is the answer inside the 5 for the Jets.
That's a great point. When you start to look at goal line, you start to look at just getting to really between the 20s, and what happens when you get there. And I know you were talking about Aaron Rodgers, briefly with this Jets offense. Clearly, Jacoby Brissett, I don't know how much you even want him throwing from like the 10 in, even if it's quick throws, because you have Stevenson against that matchup. So these two would absolutely stand out. So just looking at what this is with Hall, wow, it's only 220 so far, which is fine. Look, I'm not greedy, right? This is a fine same game parlay for Thursday night. You put a unit on it, you walk up 2.2 units richer. No problem there at all. But I am curious, at 850, do you have any interest at all in adding old Aaron Rodgers, buddy, who clearly there's a connection right now, as we've seen in just limited 2 games, Alan Lazard?
Lazard in the red zone could be a beautiful thing. Rodgers is going to lean on what he's comfortable with, and we've seen that be Lazard through 2 weeks. Listen, if you're feeling frisky, there ain't no reason why we can't play the plus 880 there, or plus 850 on DK, especially if they have a 50% boost or a sweat token for Thursday Night Football. I mean, why not? On the flip side of things, you started the show off talking about Ramondre Stevenson and the beautiful spot that he's in this week with both his workload and the matchup. I mean, maybe Brissett under 165 passing yards could be an interesting play as well. If Sauce Gardner and that secondary is just locking them down and all they're doing is turning around and handing it off to Stevenson, well, maybe the yards go under.
They're at 135, I believe, on average a game. Now, granted, it's 2 weeks, what have you, but they don't have star power. This is not an offense that's been held under wraps due to great scheme or matchups, right? This is just an anemic offense at best. The best thing you're going to get is that. So I'm with you. Look, this isn't bad either here, right? If you wanted to take Lazard out and say, all right, just give me this at plus 315, I'm willing to meet you halfway on this. I actually like this a lot.
You lock in what you want to lock in for this show. This is your baby. I'm coming in here and hopefully just,
You're helping me. That's it.
I'm trying to put the cherry on top of this. This is your pie here.
No, I like it. That's why I wanted to go back and forth here, right? I think the anytime touchdown. But here's my point, right? And this is how we can end with this at plus 315. Again, at DFS and Donuts is how you can follow Mitch on Twitter. At ShanderBets here for me. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. Mitch has a ton of stuff going on. So not only do you want to follow him on Twitter, but you want to follow all of the areas where he's making content, including, and not to be limited to, of course, the Tails marketplace here on OddsShopper. But I think for me, when I reason this out in my head, Mitch, I'm getting a better number for this same game parlay than I am for Breece Hall scoring an anytime touchdown.
Oh, I love it. And I was thinking about it when you asked me and I wasn't ready, but honestly, thinking about it more, sometimes it's just not fun having the same guy as 2 of your 3 legs for a parlay too. They could hit the one and then
correlation there too.
Yeah, just struggle a little bit. So I like having 3 different things to sweat, and this is a beautiful looking lay.
Plus 315, overrated, underrated, the 3 a.m. garbage plate.
We live off of these things. So the garbage plates, man, totally underrated.
Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed here to the OddsShopper channel. Thanks again to Mitch at DFS and Donuts is how you can follow him. Make sure you're tailing him in the Tails marketplace. Me as well, as I'll get you half off your first month. Didn't know that we can do type of stuff like that here. Absolutely we can. So we'll see you in the marketplace.